from around the globe. And though separated by oceans, they gather in the virtual world for reasons as varied as their locales. Whether it's a defending champion looking to retain his title, a new and eager hopeful striving for recognition, or a legend prepared to recapture past glory, in the end, the one goal they all share is to win. But when naming a victor, only one driver's name can be etched into the record books. You're watching the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour.
What every sim race series manager hopes for and what every sim racing fan enjoys is a contested championship points race. With 4 races in the book, that is just what today's series has to offer. Looking to become the first 4-time title holder in its 16th season history, Sonny Kitchen's path to the record book has a bump in the road in the form of Robert Hartley. So far, Hartley has not only shown to be the equal of Kitchen, but at times piloting the fastest car on the track. But the competitive fire in a 3-time champ burns like the intensity of 1,000 Brazilian suns. So with that in mind, and the Cristo Redentor watching on from the summit of Mount Corcovado, from Autódromo Internacional de Carlos Paz, it's time for round 5 of the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour. And you can see all the simulated Mazda action from green flag to victory donuts live as it happens right here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello from the home of Pele, Carleman, Miranda, Sergio Mendes, Ayrton Senna, and my booth mate's girlfriend. Welcome to another GSRC broadcast. Way up in the press box to bring you our Word's Eye view is yours truly, Bill Soupson, joined by the fan build himself, Johan Vandenveld. Joe Peak has director duties armed with cameras locked and loaded by Dougie Beard. Okay, Johan, whenever I race here in my beloved little MX-5, I always try to eat light before the race because I think it helps my underpowered Mazda climb up the hill to the start-finish line. My guess is you probably have a little more useful info about today's racetrack.
I mean, we are in the country of picanha, so eating light here is difficult, but before we go to the barbecue on Victory Lane, first a little bit about the track. Autódromo José Carlos Pachi, or Interlagos, how it was originally called, is one of the most well-known tracks. It was constructed in 1940 and has been hosting Formula 1 races since 1972. And the traditional name of the circuit, Interlagos, literally means between the lakes, and anyone who's ever visited the track knows why. It lays between Guirapiranga and Billings, 2 large artificial lakes that provide the metropolis with water and electricity. In real life, this actually has a big effect on racing, as the bodies of water create a sort of microclimate in the city, capable of generating sudden rainstorms. And the drivers today do not have to worry about water on the track, however, as they lap this 4.3 kilometer circuit, as the Brazilian sun is keeping the track nice and dry. The MX-5 Interlagos has 2 very distinct phases, a very long draft section that reaches from turn 13 Juncao all the way until turn 6 Ferradura, and a very tight single-file infield section in between. In other words, a great deal of draft and a lot of opportunity to lose it. And to see how this looks like from the driver's point of view, let's hop on board the GSRC Mazda MX-5 for a lap around Interlagos.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Interlagos. Coming down to turn 1, the Senna S provides a great opportunity for an overtake, but attack and defense can be a complicated affair with the way the track falls away and switches direction. Regardless of the outcome, at the end you're dumped onto the Curva do Sol, which is flat out in this little MX-5. And this sets you up for the next best place for a pass at the end of the Reta Aposta. This stretch will provide a good draft, allowing you to close in or even get side by side with your opponent. Coming up is the braking for Descida de Lago, and you really want the inside line to have a chance at getting by the driver ahead of you. The car will want to understeer as we head back downhill, and once again, you won't be lifting for a bit as the car slides its way through 5. Drift it back to the left and get the car lined up for Ferradura. This double apexer is fairly fast, meaning it's going to be tough to force a 2-wide situation. I wouldn't really recommend trying to pass here unless you're desperate. Thankfully, there's lots of paved runoff around the outside. Quickly, you're going to get on the brakes for 8, which kicks off the slow, winding technical section of the circuit. Each corner requires you to set the car up for the following one, so don't worry about maximizing the exit as much as where you position your car. These curbs are very wide and flat though, so feel free to use as much as you can. Now we hit the Bico de Pato, which is a decreasing radius hairpin. Late apex this baby, and then swing it across the track immediately for the best line through 11. Once again, the curbing on the outside is usable, so make the best of it for a nice wide entry into Heusinkveld. Every drop of speed you can carry through this turn will pay dividends on your lap time and for the opportunity to pass into 1. Without much power in the engine of the MX-5, this long uphill climb needs you to keep your momentum up. At this point, it's all about minimizing your steering input, or if you've got a competitor sizing you up, positioning your car for defense. Hopefully, you can hold them off in the braking zone, but as we come across the line, you've finished a lap around Interlagos.
One of the best voices in sim race broadcasting, Joe Peak, taking us around Interlagos. Okay, let me take you around the driver standings right now. Robert Hartley has a pair of wins. That's matched by Sonny Catch Me If You Can. Now, interestingly enough, with both drivers being so close in the points, the driver to the north was determined by the miles per incident bonus. Hartley is currently second, worth 42 points. Kanchan is 12th, only earning 25 points. Bonus points are easily taken for granted until it costs somebody a crown. Now get this, only 4 active drivers have career wins, and they are all shown on this overlay. Hartley has 3, Marcelo Pajon has 1, and Travis Swanky also has 1. And oh, by the way, when you win 3 titles, that comes with a few race victories. Kanchan has 35 to his credit in 73 starts. How about former AM champ Stephen Van Ostro there as he rounds out the top 5 graphic? All right, Johan, let's go ahead and look at the very exciting AM championship.
Yeah, well, the driver to beat in the AM Championship so far this season is Kip Stevens. The British driver has done really well so far, mixing it up with the pro drivers all throughout the season. With 286 points, he's sitting currently on top of that championship. Jordi Vark behind got a third place, free place gained last time around in the championship. This time he's just extending that gap a little bit towards Björn de Vos and Erik Koeman behind him, the 2 drivers from Belgium and the Netherlands. Little rivalry between them after Spa-Francorchamps when they came together. Currently only 1 point sitting between them. In P5 it's Derek Holland who passed Stefan Veenhoff, who didn't manage to show up last time around in Spa-Francorchamps and lost the position because of that.
And Johan, before we look at the race details, you know, we talked about it last week, but some of the best racing has been back there in the AM Championship. It's a little less civilized than it is up front with the pro guys.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a little less civilized, but it's just really hard racing all throughout the damn field. It's like all the drivers just want to get a track position every lap of the race. Well, the pro drivers you see a lot of times just working together, calming down, saving fuel a little bit. It's a little bit more two-vanille down further in the field in the M category.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the event details for today.
Yeah, well, the viewers know that this is season 16 of the Heusinkveld Mazda MX-5 World Tour. This is round 5 of 11 round championship. Now, a little bit into the nitty-gritty. 3 rounds this season will be no-show compensations. Those are not technically drop weeks, but you basically get a certain amount of points compensated with a percentage of your average finishing position. So even if you show up, you still get a few points. The race today will be 24 laps. The setups will be open. Drivers will be allowed to change their Mazdas just to the liking, but they have to make 1 pit stop during the race. There's no incident cap, but like you just mentioned, Bill, there is bonus points up for grabs. So keeping it clean out there actually might be very important come at the end of the season.
And with all the business out of the way, we can turn our attention away from the charts and graphs and maybe to the action on the track as qualifying has just begun. And, you know, we talked about it, but there's Robert Hartley up at the top of the chart.
Yeah, Robert Hartley is just very strong so far this season. And once again here at Interlagos, he's quick as well. Look at the gap, by the way, between him and Geplievski at the moment. That's 0.5 of a second. That's not a bad gap to have in these slight underpowered cars. That's actually quite a bit gap that he currently has to Geplievski. Marcelo Pagnan currently sitting in P3 behind him. The gap between him and Gabrielski is almost negligible, only 0.07 of a second between the Italian driver and Gabrielski going forward.
You know, Johan, we were talking before we went live about, despite the large technical section in the middle of the track, this is still pretty much your throttle on in these little cars for a majority of this place, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, especially when you come out of the infield section at turn 13, Heusinkveld, when you go up the hill, that's really where it starts. And because it's going uphill as well, draft will be even more important. So you really see cars too wide, maybe 3 wide even going towards the center S chicane. That's maybe a little hiccup in the draft fest that you have. Maybe some drivers have to go single file here. You can keep it side by side. You might lose just a little bit more time. But after the center S, you still have several corners all the way till you go through the Descida do Lago, and then you enter Ferradura, where you can just keep it side by side and have a draft battle going on. And then after Ferradura, that's where it will be single file, I imagine, going through the tight infield section.
As we look in there, continue to look at our points leader and our, well, tentative pole sitter right now, Robert Hartley. I think, though, compared to what we see where we've had large trains of cars, I think there's enough technical section here, Johan, that I don't think they're going to be able to keep like a 15-car train. It's going to break up a little bit when they work through Duckbill and a Little Orange in those sections.
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't think it will be like NASCAR-like draft battles that going on where the whole field is close together. They will split up, of course, into little groups of like 4 or 5 cars that will have enough draft between them to really keep it together. But I don't think that any bigger groups will form out there.
We've talked about the AM Championship and the Pro Championship. I love this cut line here. It's really good. The top 12 drivers right now are all pros. The top AM driver we're going to look at in 13th position is Kip Stevens. And he's got quite a gap before he gets back to Stef Wienhoff is back in 13th.
There's Kip. He has a gap of 0.2 of a second to the next amateur driver, but I think most importantly, Kip Stevens currently has a buffer of Gene Vitters, Nick Viesen, and Jean-Franc Penoy behind him, 3 pro drivers. So he really has built already a buffer between him and the rest of the field, of just putting some of the pro drivers in that gap between them. As Penoy got quicker. No, actually, some people got in front of him.
Got in front of him,
yeah, exactly. He saw some things change in the standings. No, but 3 drivers behind him, they're all pro drivers. That will help him just keep those other amateur drivers behind him during the race.
And just to drill down a little bit on that's an interesting racing line the Kip's taken there. Drill down on the scoring, the way they do it. It's the overall scoring. So every position the Kip can put between him and his amateur rival is more points that he can pick up. It's not just you don't score it just against the amateurs. It's against the entire field. And I like it that way. It makes every position on the track important, even if you try to pass a pro driver. Yeah, we're looking at, I believe, is this a country-mate of yours, if memory serves? Robert might be from the Netherlands?
Yeah, 100%.
Assume that? Yep.
Yeah. Robert is from the Netherlands. Yeah, it says on the screen, Robert Wielinga, currently sitting at 22nd. That means that he's currently sitting P5 in the amateur category, behind Veenhoff, De Vries, and Derek Holland.
Is Arie Luyendyk, is that the most popular driver, I would assume, or what are the Netherlands?
I mean, it's Max Verstappen at the moment.
Verstappen, yeah, of course it would be.
Yeah, Arie Luyendyk is probably from those the people that watch a lot of IndyCar from the Netherlands. That I think that most people at this moment will remember the Verstappens
that makes sense. Better. Okay, with qualifying just about done, it gives us an opportunity to talk about some of the people that make this possible. And I'd like to thank one of our sponsors, that's Heusinkveld. They offer a broad array of products and services, including advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware, and sponsor on practically every major team in sim racing today. If you're looking for an edge in racing, get in touch today at Heusinkveld.com. And with qualifying done, let's go ahead and give you the Heusinkveld starting grid right now. It is indeed Robert Hartley and Marcello Pizzon, the Italian, on the front row. Stelian Chepelevsky is going to be inside of Travis Swenke. Sonny Kanchan way back in 5th. Stephen Van Opstrow flanking him. Stefan Overgaard and David Hampson make up row 4. 9th and 10th go to Steve Hefford and the Bay State Hammer, Tom Ratche.
Marco Derrick starts the race in P11. He's being flanked by Emmanuel Burrell Smith. Eric Garcia flanks up behind him in P13. Next to him can be found Dexter Castro. Kip Stevens grabs the pole position in the amateur class and he starts the race in 15th. Next to him, Gene Fiddis. Nick Thiessen is the first driver on row 9. Next to him can be found Jean-François Penat. And in row 10, it's Stefan Veenhoff, and next to him, Björn de Vos.
In Blackjack, it's Derek Holland who's made the top 5 of that AM graphic. Robert Valenga back there in the double duck spot. Renaud Lefebvre into 23rd position. He's going to be flanked by Rafael Dresics. In the quarter century mark, it's old Joe McDonald. Newcomer, Kyle Gilbert in 26th. Another newcomer, we saw him last week, Nick Berry in 27th. 27 names on the entry list. They all put in qualifying times. And now it's time to get round 5 underway. They grid up. Still waiting for the 5th place driver to go out there and take his spot. That would be Sonny Kenshin. Kenshin knows the rules. He wants to make sure the commentators get their GSRC bonus for getting through the entire starting grid before we go green. You can hear the engines begin to harmonize a little bit as we have a flyover. Now they start to harmonize. You know what to do here in Brazil. Gather up the chickens, take cover on the cows. The horses are out of the barn. Robert Hartley leads the stampede. Not a good start from Pajan as Swanky gets a great run from the 3rd position. I think he's going to lead him into corner 1. They go side by side. The Italian driver fends off Schwenke. 4th and 5th are going to go to Chepolevsky and Schwenke now up into 4th. Kenshin in 5th.
And that gives Robert Hartley in front of them immediately the opportunity to start quite a big gap to Marcelo Pagnan. Behind him though, it's single file all the way towards the Ciudad do Lago. Sonny Kenshin currently in P5, Steven Opstal P6. David Hampson had a good start in P8, but he couldn't make the overtaking maneuver stick on Stefan Overgaard, and he has to settle for P8 now.
A little bit of contact in the back. René Lefebvre and Joe McDonald get together. A little minor contact. They both continue racing. Other than that, we've been clean as they head down, start through the technical section.
Yeah, this is single file 100%. It's very difficult to keep it here, put it here, and keep it here side by side. You can see that Marcelo Pagnan and Gepilevsky behind him just closing down the gap towards Robert Hartley. It will be especially evident once they get out 2 corners after now when they exit Heusinkveld, because that is where the long straight starts with the big draft effect that you'll see today.
And now our leader gets on the throttle as it's going to be full speed ahead as he heads up the hill to the start-finish line. Pajan in 2nd. Now let's see if any of these guys make a move on lap number 1. Chepolevsky back in 3rd. Could probably make a move if he wants to. They're going to say single file. Let's see. The defensive line from Pajan. And now the Italian driver eases over, closing the door on Chepolevsky.
Yeah, the only move that I see side by side is Gene Fiddis on Kip Stevens in the backfield. That's currently going for P15. Gene Fiddis on the inside. There you can see it on top of your screen, keeping it side by side through the center S. That last part, the left-hander, that swings back in Gene Fiddis' favor, and he gets P15 away from Kip Stevens.
24 drivers in that front train. Joel McDonald, Lefebvre, and Drazik have run into trouble.
Yeah, and especially Rafael Drazak, he is sitting in the pits at the moment. He has been there since the start of the race. Might actually look like his day is over as it stands.
We go back up front and we follow through. Again, they continue to race in the same order. They're a little closer to Hartley this time around. And actually, Chepolevsky, maybe gave a little bit of a love tap. Hello to Marcello Pajan.
Exactly, well, the Italian 100% knows now that Gepilevsky is there. Here once again in Bico de Pato, very close. Just taking a look on the inside. It's not really an overtaking opportunity. That's probably something that you would leave for this area of the track out of Heusinkveld. This has been the closest they've been so far. And let's see if Marcelo Pagnan actually wants to lead the lap in this race. Wants to get going here.
Again, Hartley out front. No bonus points for leading. All you do is probably end up burning a little more fuel. So I'm not sure how long Robert's going to enjoy staying out there. You can see those drivers take that tight line to the left there, driver left, as they go across pit entrance. Chepelevsky right on the back again of Pajan.
Ooh, and they touch each other.
Yep.
Chepelevsky hits quite a bump that they had. No damage though, no car spinning, but well, that's a little bit more harsh than what he did half a lap ago, saying hi.
A little more passionate than the kiss he gave before.
Sure, yeah.
We've talked about your front five. Let me quickly run down the back half of the top 10. Steven Van Ofstra runs 6th. Uh-oh, and we got... I heard some car. I guess it was Lefebvre went into the wall. Not need to go there. Let's stay with my rundown here. Van Ofstra in 6th. Overgaard in 7th. Heffert. David Hampson in 9th. Nice battle back there. Anwar Burrell-Smith in a battle from Marco Dresix.
Yeah, we could see them going. Yeah, we could see them going side by side. There was for the Cido do Lago, 2 cars going wide there, but they all kept it going in a straight line. Some overtakes being made there. It's now Burrell-Smith in front of Michael Derricks. Tom Recchi being the one that's being overtaken. He's falling down in the clutches of Dexter Castro and Gene Fish.
You talk about veterans of the series. Ratchie, I think, making his 138th career start in an MWT event. Woo! That's a lot of Saturdays. Let's look at P2.
Yeah, the battles. Oh, there's the leader going off the track there. Robert Hartley going wide to Heusinkveld. And look at the speed difference immediately for Marcelo Pagnan. He really has a lot more speed now. I almost wanted to say like Pagnan and Chepelevsky have been fighting quite a lot in the infield section. And that would have meant that Hartley would have broken the draft and could drive away. But that mistake on the exit of Heusinkveld immediately allows him to fall back into the clutches of the 2 drivers on the podium behind him. Chepelevsky making the overtaking maneuver stick there, tries to thread the needle. Little of that this time around from Marcelo Pagnan. But he makes one overtaking move stick and puts the pressure more and more on Robert Hartley.
Chepelevsky made the move on the outside. Then he got the benefit of Hartley, who kept that outside line as well. And Stellian got the draft and was able to pull around Pajan.
As you can see on screen now, the field is finally breaking up a little bit. We have a lead car train of 9 drivers. David Hansen is the last one in that one. And Will Burrell-Smith is falling by the wayside slightly.
All right, let's go ahead and take a second to check in on our AM leader. Kip Stevens back in 16th position. He's all by himself. There is a nice battle. We go back to Jean-Francois Pignot back there in a battle with Eric Garcia, another veteran of the series, returning. Eric making his 94th career start today.
Just in front of them, a very heavy battle going. That it basically starts on the back with Kip Stevens, Castro, Thiessen, Fides, Derricks, and Tom Recchi. Tom Recchi holding it up a little bit. Nick Thiessen going quite wide there, rolling around on the grass. It's a little bit like a ratchet train going on at the moment. He's holding up the rest a little bit because you can see in front of them, Emil Burrell-Smith is losing, or at least distancing himself from this fight.
They're close up front, but not as fierce. Fides is the one that is really trying, and back there in 13th position on the back of Dresix, trying to make a move. He would like to get up, maybe race with the big boys up front. As we ride on board with the New Zealand driver. A good court up front, there is no change.
Three wide going to turn 1. That's Tom Recchi, Michael Derricks, and Gene Fides. And
oh my goodness!
The naked stick that move. Yeah, Gene Fides now on the outside. On the outside of Derricks here, and out of Senna S. Behind him, it's Nick Thiessen making it 3 wide once again. And they're all quicker than Tom Recchi. Will they make it 4 wide going on? I remember a moment in Formula 1 in 1994 when 4 wide here And a disastrous leave of 3 wide this time around. They touch each other here as well. Derek's got a little bump from Nick Thiessen. Has to go wide. Behind him is Gene Fitters profiting. No, Dexter Castor profiting from that. Getting 2 positions in the process. And look at Tom Retch at the same time. Just distancing himself to this beehive behind him.
Oh, and Dressix puts it in the wall. After that, I don't know if the car it looked like minor damage, but boy, when he got it out on the grass, the car did not go straight. Marco Derricks. Car number 207. So we lose one more.
Nick Thiessen once again going through the grass there. That's the second time, I think, in 2 laps that he has done this. Dutch driver struggling a little bit with that infield section at the moment as he's being put under pressure by Dexter Castro behind him.
Right on board now, looking back at Castro. What all that has allowed to do is gave Tom Ratchie a little breathing room in 11th. He's opened it up a bit. But again, that's where the action has been, back here in the mid-pack.
We were saying it before, ooh, Carl Gilbert in the backfield, once also going very wide for Heusinkveld. Great move actually keeping that car in a straight line, because the way he was sliding over the grass, I was sure that he would just loop it around. He loses 1 position. We don't have to go to a replay of that. But Mick Barry finds his way past him because of this. So that means that Mick Barry is currently driving around to 21st. 21st. Carl Gilbert drives around to 22nd.
Let's quickly jump to 7th real quick. This is a nice battle. This is Overgaard this is Steve Hefford on the inside trying to get this pass done. And let's give Hefford 1 position up. Overgaard drops back into 8th. But these guys all stay in the front train. Goes all the way back to Hampson in 9th.
This is, of course, maybe hurting both of them a little bit, because look at the gap between Steve Hefford and Stefan van Opstal in P6 in front of them. They really have to put the power down, otherwise when they go out of Heusinkveld and that long full throttle section start, they actually get dropped there. It seems like Steve Hefford under braking is able to just get some car lengths back. Yeah, he's fighting his way forward, but the battle, this top 6 driver soup, I don't know, it's very calm at the moment, maybe a little bit calm before the storm, especially because no one is trying to take away that P1 position from Robert Hartley. And if I was Robert, if I was in his shoes, I would say like, hey, I would like to be a little bit further down the straight as well at the moment to save some fuel.
Well, let's stay on the leader as they go across the start-finish line here, because the last 2 times by, Stelin Chepelevsky, he must have found some extra little box in the setup thing where you can make a stronger nose, because he's been pushing, bump drafting Hartley the last couple times down, and that's also after giving a few kisses to Pajan as well. This time, let's see if he does it again. He's going to come up behind him. Might be in there a little bit late this time. Not going to do it going into the corner.
Oh, behind him, that was almost Travis Swank in the back of Marcelo Pagnan. The driver, he braked incredibly late. Just avoided the Italian there. Behind him, Stefan Overgaard seems to have lost the draft to Stefan Volpstal. Gap between P6, P7. That kind of happened because of Steve Hefford making a mistake in Heusinkveld. We saw it several times happen as Steve Hefford went wide, too much throttle, too early on the throttle. That lost him immediately the connection to the cars in front of them. And David Hampson and Stefan Overgaard had to slow down a little bit to avoid the car going wide. And that was lost in the draft.
So the 9-car train up front has now turned to a 6-car train. Those guys back, those final 3 battling. Let's look at Hefford again real quick, because they're side by side in 8th position. Hefford and Hampson. Boy, these guys continue to fight it out.
Luckily, they don't really have to look in the rearview mirror at the moment. Anvil Barul Smith was looking to close the gap towards P9 and make it a 4-car battle at this point of the race, but his connection has failed, so Anvil is one of the retirees out here at Interlagos.
If that settles down, I think it's going to settle down. Let's stay on it a bit, see how that sorts out. There's some good racing here. I got a bad feeling. Yep, there's a mistake. And that moves Overgaard back into 9th. Again, they both go wide. A front effort, and Hampson continue to fight it out.
Yeah, Hampson went very wide, but what happened with Stefan Overgaard? It was almost like he was doing a slowdown or something. He was He was really letting them by. Maybe just doesn't want to battle at this state of the race as much as the two cars in front of him wants to do. He just wants to be in that popcorn position.
Top 6 drivers go into corner 1 in the same order. Now this is interesting. Tom Ratchie, I was just about to go to him. Remember, he opened up a bit of a gap on the rest of the guys that were chasing him after there was that incident. But now they had gathered him back up, and Ratchie has decided to come in for a stop.
It actually might be popping up during the race because his car was blinking a little bit. Currently seems like his connection has stabilized. I hope for him that it stays like that and he can finish the race.
So Ratchie is the first of our pit stops. Everyone needs to make one here today. Poor Robert Hartley, he has been out in front the entire race.
Not anymore though. He's currently sitting in P5. Let's see what happened there. Oh yeah, he went incredibly wide. He got a little bump in the Cida do Lago from Cheplievski. Cheplievski just bumped him around, and that sent Robert Hartley down several places. Cheplievski kind of saying sorry by just slowing down as well and letting Robert Hartley rejoin the track in front of him. Go to a replay here of that incident. So that means that both the drivers that started P1 and P2 this lap are now P5 and P6.
And honestly, as long as he didn't lose the draft, I don't think Hartley's going to be all that upset about not being out in front.
The thing though that you have to remember at this point of the race is as we're nearing the pit stop window and drivers are preparing themselves to come in, make the pit stop as we're 3 laps short of the halfway mark, is that now getting that track position will be more and more important. And maybe Robert Hartley has tried to stay in front of the field to have the track position once he makes his pit stop. And now with no fault of his own, he's relegated to 4 positions. And now he really has to fight his way forward to get there again.
Gene Fittis, who's notorious for making early stops, well, he's going to have to make 2 early stops as he drove past his pit stall.
Ooh, that's a very costly mistake from Gene Fittis. He was on the edges of the top 10. Well, with that, he's currently now driving in 19th position. He will fall down quite a bit down the order.
Yep. So we're looking at the lead pack there. You got Pajan, Schwenke, Canchonell up to 3rd. Van Opstroll has picked up a few spots. Hartley back to 5th. Chepelevsky in 6th. Let's go ahead and check in on our amateur. Let's see how Kip Stevens is doing. He's back in 12th. Again, continues to be followed by Eric Garcia, the California kid, racing in his familiar number 89.
And the good thing for Kip Stevens at the moment is that the next amateur driver, Stef Veenhoff, is over 2 seconds behind him. And as long as Kip Stevens can really battle it out with these pro drivers and more importantly stay in the draft of these pro drivers, that will just really help Kip to increase the gap to Steve, to Robert Wieninga in P3 and just stay in front of his rivals in the championship.
Let's look at the 15th position, Robert Wieninga. He's in a battle with, is that Gene Fittis? But I think Gene's going to have to come in. Well, I guess he's the same position as Wengler right now. Up front, it remains the same. Let's take a look up front for a minute as the 2 drivers, Pajan and Schwenke, maybe have visions of opening it up a little bit on Sonny Ketchen. Keep dreaming. They've opened it up about 5 car lengths.
Not for a lack of trying, though. Both drivers are really giving it a spurs at the moment. I have to say, behind them, who is that? That is P7. Steve Havert seems to slowly close down the gap towards Cheplievski at the moment. I don't think that the gap has been this low at the moment. Yeah, as you can see on screen, less than 2 seconds. It almost seems like Steve Havert is able to close down the gap and make that 6-car battle 7-car battle.
Well, he was in that battle with David Hampson, but Hampson has decided to peel off, and I believe now, if my timing and scoring is right, he's the leader of all the cars who've made a legitimate pit stop. Fittis is out there still shown with a pit stop, but he actually still needs to make them. So Hampson is in 17th. That's somebody to keep an eye on.
We were mentioning that the top 2 drivers want to create a gap towards Sonny Kenshin. That's failing, but it's succeeding towards Steven van Opstal. He's not able to stay in the draft so far with Sonny Kenshin. Robert Hartley and Gepitlevski behind him are really looking as hard as they can to try and find a way past Van Opstal, because as it stands, they're both in danger of losing the draft to the top 3. Trying a move now here on the inside towards the center as Robert Hartley. Let's see if Gepitlevski make it a 2-for-1. Gepitlevski actually slots back in once again. There's only a short straight between here the Senna S and the Cida do Lago. So you need a good exit here out of the Senna S to make an overtaking move. Sticking way smoother. Gepitlevski as he already, before they're on the exit of the corner, he can put his nose in. With his side by side. Stefan van Opstal, of course, has the draft of Robert Hartley, and that doesn't help Gepitlevski. Both braking extremely late, but it's Stefan van Opstal who loses a position. Gepitlevski back to P5.
I hope Van Opstal takes this right, but honestly, his best chance is to get in behind Hartley and Chevalevsky and let them pull him up to the front. Hartley was your pole sitter.
A little battle that's further down the field is the one between, for P18, Carl Gilbert and Nick Barry. Just want to emphasize this a little bit because I've been keeping my eye on them for a bit. They've continuously, since the start of the race, been fighting as Carl Gilbert goes very wide there! And he actually almost loses it! He saves it though! He keeps it in a reasonably straight line. Well, that battle was going on quite severely since the start of the race. Unfortunately, now it's Carl Gilbert losing several positions, including to Dexter Castro and Tom Ratchie. They had some great racing going on in that Cal Petty livery. But here just losing control almost into Cida do Lago. Great save though.
The spin started like Kyle Petty, but it ended up like Richard Petty. It's a great save there. He drops back into 21st. And we come back live. We're getting close to pit stop time here.
I just want to say P11, that's Skip Stevens at the moment. He's being chased down by Stef Veenhoff. Those 2 drivers had several seconds between them a few laps ago. Well, this time around, it's less than 1 second. Stef Veenhoff really has closed down the deficit. He's putting pressure on the UK&I driver to get that P1 position in the M category.
Those are 2 AM drivers finally mixing it up. Again, we can't forget about David Hampson racing back in 17th. Leader of all the cars who've pitted. I don't think he'll be able to get up with the front 6. But he's having a good run.
Yeah, for sure. Gene Fittis is going side by side with Robert Wielinga. That's in the Cida do Lago on the outside. Relegated after that failed pit stop that he did, where he misses his pit crew. As to keep us side by side with Wielinga here. But going towards Ferradura, he will have the inside, and that's 2 positions gained this lap for Gene Fittis.
A little bit messy early on. We lost a few drivers. Other than that, it's settled down. I still believe we have 23 still racing. We've only lost Smith, Derricks, Lefebvre, and Drezix.
With 12 laps in the books, let's see which one of the leaders will come in for a pit stop as they're going through the long straight, going through Arquibancadas at the moment. Marcelo Pagnal is the first one who has the option to come into the pits. He actually stays out. Swanky behind him as well. Kenshin as well. Robert Hartley and Gepitlevski both make very late moves to dive down the pits. Probably responded to what they saw happen in front of them.
That would have been the 2 cars that I thought would have come in. Remember, they were racing 1-2 for most of the early part of the race. Hartley is really fast. And he's got a dancing partner now. These guys have got to be careful. Hartley and Chevalevsky, if they can time their pit stops so they come out together, they could be quick.
Yes, the standing still. Man, I'm just amazed with the pit entry of both of them. Almost hitting the Armco barrier and separating the pit lane from the track. Both completely almost piled into it. Avoided it. Robert Hartley a lot earlier. Ooh, hits the grass a little bit there on the pit exit. That's not something smart to do because you very easily lose it there. That's quite a big gap between Robert Hartley and Gapiewski as they come out of the pits.
Yeah, Hartley would have hoped that Stellian could have been a little faster in there. They're going to cycle out in 12th position behind Derek Holland.
More importantly, they stay in front of David Hampson with quite a margin. So that means that Robert Hartley now is your leader of all the cars that doesn't have to make a pit stop anymore.
Let's look at Stefan Van Opstel in 4th. He is beginning, try as he might to hang with those guys. He's beginning to lose touch. The question is now, will the Italian driver Pajan, will Schwenke out of Ohio, will Kanchan from Australia, will they come in this time around? Or are they happy with the pace?
But just about Stefan Van Opstel, he was really left hang out to dry when both drivers of Gapiewski and Hartley went into the pits because he was the 6-car driver and suddenly P4 and P5 were gone and he had no one to drop from anymore. Especially those 3 drivers in front, they have each other.
Here they come.
Stefan Van Opstel is alone. Ooh, 2 of them come in though. Sonny Kanchan stays out, Stefan Van Opstel also comes in. And it's our 2 leaders, Marcelo Pagnan and Travis Schwenke, he come in. Sonny Kanchan probably thinks that, hey, on my own, I'm a bit quicker than the rest. I'll put in another lap.
All right, Stefan, here's the deal. You stay in there, take enough fuel. As soon as you see those guys in front of you, you leave as well. And you just kind of save. Oh, Stefan, though, you missed your pit. So Van Opstel's going to have a hard time.
Robert Hartley had some luck there because he was in the draft of Derek Holland going up the hill, and that might help him quite a bit. Getting some extra speed this time in his outlap.
Okay, here
he's driving the Senna S at the moment. Yeah, he's in the Senna S, but it seems like Marcelo Pagnan has a lot more track distance as Travis Schwenke and Robert Hartley are coming out side by side. The Italian has won a lot of track position though, but side by side is Robert Hartley on the outside, who has a little bit more speed on the normal racing line, and Travis Schwenke has to settle in behind him.
But that's okay. Hartley and Schwenke are together. They can work. They'll probably be able to run down Pajan. Pajan stopped very, very fast in the box. About 1.5 seconds faster than most of the drivers. Almost 3 seconds faster than Chefalevsky. So, all by himself, 3-time champion, Sonny Kanchan.
Yeah, and I almost would say that Sonny Kanchan will come in the pits today. If he doesn't come in the pits right now, he actually might just go and completely run his tank dry. Because if he actually stays out now, that's for me a sign that he thinks that he's quicker on his own. And he will just completely try to run his tank dry. But no, he comes in this time around. Let's see where he comes in. Comes out when he is done reviewing his car. Let's see, Marcelo Pagnan is coming out of Heusinkveld now, a little bit wide, almost going over the grass there, losing a lot of time like we saw Robert Hartley do a few laps ago. The Italian is almost in the draft of Björn de Vries. He would give, I think, a lot to be in the draft right now. Just win a few extra tenths, trying to get back Sonny Kanchan. Sonny Kanchan is still sitting in the pits as we follow Marcelo Pagnan at the moment. Still sitting, and now Sonny Kanchan is getting underway. You can probably see him now turning left on the exit of pit lane.
Looks like Pajan's going to get him. The question is, will Kanchan get out in front of Hartley? I think he will.
Yeah, I think so as well, but last time around you could see how much quicker that normal racing line is. You have a lot more speed on the exit. Yeah, track position wins this time around. Sonny Kanchan stays in front. I think that Sonny Kanchan is close enough to Pagnan to close the draft, but I think Hartley as well is close enough to Sonny Kanchan to break down that deficit and make it once again a 4-car battle for P1.
I'm going to go to 10th overall, back to Stefan Van Opstel. You remember David Hampson? We talked about him? Well, there he is. Van Opstel has lost touch with the leaders. Hampson, who took that early stop, these guys will be fighting it out for the remaining 10 laps.
Yeah, tough luck for Stefan Van Opstel, of course, fighting for a podium position out there today, but that early pit stop maneuver from Hartley, from Gapiewski, that really hurt him. Ooh, almost contact there with Hampson. Stefan Van Opstel losing all that time after his pit stops and now has to settle probably for P6. in this race.
Our contract with the iRacing Drivers Union requires us to put the camera on the leader every once in a while. How about Stefan Overgaard? You going to go around one more time, Stefan, or are you coming in? No, I'm going to stay out there. It's a little bit of a faux leader as he still needs to make his stop.
Yeah, Stefan Overgaard is one of the drivers that has to come in. Nick Thiessen is the other one. Robin Wielinga also hasn't come in yet. And Gene Fiddes, well, he has come in. But after his failed pit stop, he has to come in another time to make it until the end.
Gene may just say the heck with a pit stop. I'll just run it till it dry. I made my pit stop. That's all I'm coming in. So Pajan races in third. And once Fiddes and Overgaard get out of the way, he'll be your leader.
Yeah, well, look at P4 and P5. Robert Hartley and Sonny Kenshin. They're really nose to tail at the moment. Travis Swanky isn't that far behind. At least these few drivers have now a clear goal in front of them, which is work together. Close down the deficit to Marcelo Pagnan.
And again, I've been accused of being Chicken Little, yelling that the sky is falling, but I have to worry about Pajan's the amount of petrol in his tank. Boy, it was a fast stop.
Yeah, well, maybe Marcelo Pagnan is very light-footed and he knows some strategy to save some fuel, but he was standing still almost as long as Sonny Kenshin, so that might actually help him a little bit. But if you think about it, Marcelo Pagnan, of course, went in earlier, so you might almost say that he also needs a little bit extra fuel to make it to the end. But I don't think it will be a very strong argument, though, because look at how quickly Sonny Kenshin is clawing his way towards the Italian at the moment. And I think that once Sonny Kenshin has got him, has overtaken him, Marcelo Pagnan can just slot back for a few laps, try to save some fuel, and make sure that he gets to the end. Once again, on the exit of Heusinkveld, I've seen so many drivers make a mistake, though. It's very easy. I've done myself as well. Just in your eagerness to get on the throttle, especially in these lower power cars, you have it as well. The Skippy, as you see Tom Ratchet doing the same now. Basically in every low power car on this track, once you get to Heusinkveld, you want to hit the throttle as soon as possible to get as much speed on that straight. But a lot of drivers just doing it too early, taking too much speed too early on the throttle, just tracking wide and losing quite a bit of speed doing that.
Overgaard and Fiddes pit from first and second, so indeed, it is Pajan is the leader. Just to follow up on pit stop time, I've been harping on Pajan's fast time, but when I look at Sonny Kenshin, he was even quicker. These guys know what they're doing. They know the amount of fuel to take. I really wouldn't worry about it too much, fans. Of course, Pajan and Kenshin both racing for Asbury Motorsports, as does Travis Swanky. Out there, all alone, is Robert Hartley. No friends.
Well, if last week's results are anything to go by, Robert Hartley doesn't need friends. He has talent and speed, and he's been winning races with that so far this season. He's in a really good position at the moment to win another one, because at this point of the race, P2, P3, that's where I want to be in this lead car train, as Marcelo Pagnan has completely been caught now by Sonny Kenshin.
And don't lose sight of the driver in fifth, Stelian Chepalevsky. Slowly but surely, he's been able to run these guys down. He had a bad pit stop. Remember, Hartley came out well out in front of him. He's close to the draft of Swanky.
The reason Chepalevsky has been able to really close down the gap is how much quicker he is than Marcelo Pagnan. Almost a second last time around. And that's not necessarily because he has so much draft. I almost think that Marcelo Pagnan is just... maybe it actually is draft, but I would almost say that maybe Marcelo Pagnan is just saving a little bit of fuel and just losing some time in the process. This time around, Sonny Kenshin is very close. I don't think that Sonny Kenshin will make a move here, though. This is now a 4-car train.
For what it's worth, and there is a randomness to the how fast the fuel goes into these MX-5. Oh my goodness, as I was hardly getting almost into the trunk of Kenshin. Chepalevsky was in the pits 2 seconds longer than the leader, so he has 2 seconds more fuel. He should have no worries about having to lift. All right, with the pit stops done, and this is not quite time for things to heat up front, this is a good opportunity for Johan to do Trips Back Marker shout out. Where are you guys going to start this time?
Well, let's start with P23. That's Jean-François Prenois. He's the only driver at the moment being 1 lap down. 2 drivers in front of him are Björn de Vries and Stef Veenhoff. They are further down the field. We actually get back to them very soon. Driver in front of him on the grid is Mick Barry. He's currently driving 22nd. Mick was fighting with Kyle Gilbert in 21st. Well, that battle has been broken up and Kyle Gilbert is driving in 21st. Joe McDonald, the driver we haven't seen out there today. He's not loving Interlagos so much today, I think. He's only driving around in P20. A little bit of no man's land. Kip Stevens, the leader before the M category, he's been falling down a little bit down the order. Let's investigate what happened there after this. But after his pit stops, he's currently driving now in P5, I think, in the M category. A little bit behind Derek Holland. He's driving around in P18. In front of them, Björn de Vries. We just saw him in that battle with Stef Veenhoff. That's the battle for P16. Both drivers very close together at the moment. And the leader at the moment in the amateur category is Robert Wielinga. He's driving around in P15. He has a 5-second gap towards Stef Veenhoff. The battle for that win.
Trips back marker shout out. Of course, that's sponsored by Trip Smith, who not here today, but he is a fan of this series. Let's go up front. I think we got a pass for the lead. Sonny, catch me if you can. Takes it over into 1. Dejean relegated back to 2nd now. Hartley might be faster of the 3. Watching it all happen.
Yeah, Marcelo Pagnan doesn't seem happy though with that overtaking maneuver, putting it side by side immediately with Sonny Kenshin. Robert Hartley doesn't want to box in, tries a move, gets covered immediately by Marcelo Pagnan. Behind him, Travis Swanker takes a little look in the inside, but single foul once again through the Ciudad del Lago. Staying there, Gepelievski behind him has completely caught up to them. Look at the red car in the rear of that screen. 5 cars now under a blanket, being led by Sonny Kenshin.
Gepelievski is fast. He can get to the front if he wants to. Boy, Johan Hartley had a run on the 2 leaders, and Pajan pulled out to go around Kenshin, and Hartley ran out of track. There was nowhere to put the car, but he was...
I would almost say that Marcelo Pagnan was not so much trying to overtake Sonny Kenshin in a better way. That was almost looking like he was just completely shutting the door there towards Robert Hartley. And we mentioned before that these drivers, of course, aren't teammates. Robert Hartley is alone in that battle, and that actually might be a little factor showing there. But the drivers around him can work together to keep that gap closed. Really cover him off like that.
Remember, Hartley and Gepelievski worked well together when they were racing 1-2. Gepelievski back there will have to get around Swanky. Let's see if how this sorts out now as they come around the front straight one more time. That'll be 5 to go as they cross the line.
I'm just especially curious what Robert Hartley will be able to do. Yeah, exactly. Because Robert Hartley at the moment just gets boxed in completely. And he has to watch out for that, because if he lets himself be boxed in like that, they can actually work together in the form of Travis Swanky, just sending it on the inside and getting that P3 position away from him.
Hartley making notes right now, getting this figured out. He's learning, testing. They go 2 wide again. This is the same formation that Kenshin and Pajan ran last time. Here comes Swanky right up, or Hartley right up in there.
And this, by the way, shows to me that Marcelo Pagnan is completely okay on fuel, because on those long straights, he every time just dives out from the draft of Sonny Kenshin. While if he was running low on fuel or the margin was very close, he wouldn't do that and he would stay in the draft. So I think that the Italian should be okay until the end of the race.
The guy who is hungry is Stelian Gepelievski back in 5th. Maybe you can win it from 4th, but you cannot win it from 5th position. He knows he needs to pick up a few. He'd like to get in there with his buddy Hartley and see if they can do something with those front 2 Asbury Motorsports guys.
Yeah, you can say that Robert Hartley is a little bit alone at the moment, but in another way, if you look at it differently, Travis Swanky at the moment is alone, because he doesn't have someone around him to protect himself from Robert Hartley and Gepelievski, who might be working together as well.
With apologies to the rest of the field here, we're going to stay up front for a while, because now this is beginning to heat up. Hartley leaning a little bit farther back this time, maybe hoping to get maybe more of a run. There's a little more of a gap this time between Kenshin and Pajan, but that'll close up. Hartley will have the speed, as whether he can find tarmac, enough track to put the car somewhere. They stay in order.
Yeah, they were swerving very. I was almost thinking like one of them is gonna lose control the way they were swerving towards the vehicles. They kept at Heusinkveld. A little bump there for Robert Hartley. They might have lost him a little bit of traction. Once again, Marcelo Pagnan just immediately taking a look on the inside. It actually opts to bump draft Sonny Kenshin a little bit. Robert Hartley now taking a little look. That's too far away to try and dive bomb there into it. Oh, behind him, Geplievski actually makes a move. On Travis Swanky, they touch each other. Oh. Geplievski gets sent out to the outside, almost loses control. Because of that little tip that he got in his right rear.
Boy. Swanky picked up a little bit of damage. That was a rough elbows out pass there by Geplievski. But he had to go. Now this could be good news for Hartley, because now maybe Geplievski's been doing some bump drafting on Hartley earlier. Maybe he can give Hartley a little bit of boost. Those two will have something for Kenshin and Pagnan.
I don't want to put completely the blame on that contact on Geplievski. I almost had the feeling that Travis Swank was maybe steering in a little bit earlier than he normally would. But no matter how you look at it, the gloves are rough for sure, Bill. They are really putting the money where the mouth is now and really fighting for track position out there.
There are other battles on the track. We'll get to them when we can. I'll just talk about it verbally. One of them is Van Ofsrel and Overgaard. They're in a battle for 6th. Ratchie and Thyssen in a battle for 8th. But right now, we're going to stay up front.
Yeah, Robert Hartley is having a good run here through the very long start-finish straight. In the draft of Sonny Kenshin, he's quicker than Marcelo Pagnan, who is on the inside of him. Just doesn't have the speed at this moment to really swing it around the outside of the Italian. But behind him is Geplievski. Now those two, they might have been working together earlier in the race, but I also remember the moment when those two actually hit each other and sent themselves to P5 and P6. Once again, Robert Hartley just very strong through the center S, and now he has the draft on Sonny Kenshin, while Pagnan doesn't have it. Pagnan has the preferred racing line, though, can break a little bit later, keeping it side by side here in the Cida do Lago. Geplievski behind him is taking maybe a little look here on the inside in turn 5. Putting it side by side there, that is hurting Robert Hartley because he's actually losing a position instead of gaining one. Side by side towards Ferradura, staying there around the outside. Geplievski has more speed, but he doesn't have the track length. And he has to settle once again behind Robert Hartley.
But they remain close. Boy, Schwenke almost gets in the back of Geplievski, but not. All this going on behind Sonny Kenshin.
Robert Hartley very close there to Marcelo Pagnan. There was in Pico de Pato. Almost like he braked a little bit too little there. Almost sent his car carousing towards the Italian's rear. This time around on the exit of Heusinkveld with the battle heating up. This is probably the moment in the race that I would try and make my move forward in this pack. Really make sure that you're P2 so you don't have that much pressure on you. You can put the leader under pressure at the same time.
Hartley is not going to compromise. He is going to make this move now. He has got to make this move on Pagnan and make it stick this time around if he has any hopes to get him to catch him. Here he comes. He's got Pagnan pinned. He's trying to go to the outside. Oh, look at that. Kenshin closes the door. A little bit of a push from Hartley on the back of Kenshin. They can't finish it. Here comes Geplievski in the mix, and it doesn't get done. They race in the same order before. Hartley's not done, though. He'll get a good run here.
He just once again got boxed in by trying to follow the draft of Sonny Kenshin and Marcelo Pagnan covering the inside. I almost think that Robert Hartley just has to try and move all the way towards the left. Once again he gets covered there by Marcelo Pagnan. Oh, side by side, 2 wide, 2 rows thick now towards the Cida do Lago. Geplievski and Robert Hartley keeping it side by side. Sonny Kenshin going extremely wide there on the exit. Doesn't lose the position to Marcelo Pagnan, but Geplievski and Robert Hartley stay side by side there. Robert Hartley gets led back to that position he was in, back to P3.
Well, it didn't work that time. There's 2 to go. Hartley has got to this. Pretty soon you got to start forcing the issue.
Yeah, he really has to just make that be a little bit more what's the word for it? A little bit more courageous is not entirely the correct word. Aggressive is probably the correct word. Just sending it to the left hand side of the track before Marcelo can make that defensive move, because it's almost like Marcelo Pagnang is Sonny Kenshin's wingman at the moment, the way he's blocking off any opportunity that Robert Hartley might have for the P1 position.
Hartley might have to do a little hucklebuck here, might have to fake right and then dive it down to the inside. They come across, this will be the white flag lap. So this will be the last chance into corner number 1, the best passing opportunity for Hartley.
Behind him, Gabrielewski has lost the draft a little bit. He's being put under pressure by Travis Swanky, but now this top 3, it's Sonny Kenshin all the way on the inside. Marcelo Pagnang on the outside of Marcelo Pagnang, and again he cannot make a stick Hartley. Once again he has to settle for P3.
There is another opportunity now as they come around this left-hander. This is where Hartley has been very fast. We've seen this before. Hartley does the same move again, and we've seen this. This is an instant replay of the last lap. He gets boxed in.
Oh,
a little bit of a touch.
Yeah, Marcelo Pagnang just almost didn't give him enough room there in the braking zone, and Robert Hartley really had to slam the brakes to keep his car from spinning.
Hartley now looking to the outside of Pajan. Chepalevsky dives it in deep. He's got a nose on the inside of Hartley.
A lot of understeer there for Gabrielewski. Oh no!
They
Sonny
touch!
Kenshin and Pagnang hit each other. Pagnang gets that position. Gabrielewski on the outside gets Sonny Kenshin as well. Robert Hartley relegated to P4.
This might give Chepalevsky a chance for the win. Because now Pajan will not have a defense.
You mentioned it before, P4 is probably a spot where you can still win the race, and let's hope for Robert Hartley's sake that's true, because he's been relegated once again while he's trying his hardest to make his way forward. On the exit now of Shugal, one more straight to go.
Is there enough time before they get to the start-finish line for Chepalevsky to get there? Round 5 of the MX-5 World Tour Season 16. It is Pajan out of front. He takes the tight line to the left. Here comes Chepalevsky. Are there going to be enough time? I don't think there is. He's coming at the line. He pulls to the outside. Then they get there. Pajan gets the win. Chepalevsky gets second by 1/100th of a second.
Wow, Sonny Kenshin in P3, Robert Hartley P4, Travis Swanky P5 behind them. Stefan van Opstal gets P6. Let's see if there's another battle. Yeah, for P10, Steve Heffert being put under pressure by David Hampson, side by side going over the start-finish line. But it is Steve Heffert coming home with P10, David Hampson P11, Gene Fittis in 12th.
Let's go to 15th. A couple AM drivers coming at it. Vinhoff in front of DeForge.
P2, P3 in amateur category. Robert Wieninga winning that race with P15.
And I believe that will do it here. The racing is over here in Brazil, but our broadcast is far from done. Don't go far, because what we're going to do is take a short break, but we will return for what we are calling the Sim Sports News Wrap-Up, where we'll talk to some of the drivers, run down the entire finish order before we put a lock on the gate. Be back in a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing channel and the Sim Sports News Wrap-Up. Sim Sports News is one of the first dedicated sim racing news websites that covers all broadcasted series on iRacing. Ran by Jacob Tufts and Gianni Quintellier, the Sim Sport News race team competes on many official iRacing series, as well as the one you just saw right here. For more information, go to simsportnews.com. All right, and let's go to the Sim Sport News finishing order here, and it is, my goodness, the Italian. Marcelo Pajan gets the win, using every trick in the book to do it. Stelian Chefalevsky sitting back and forth, almost had a run. As he got to second position, made a run, came up 1/100th of a second short. Sonny Kanchan, well, he's going to finish ahead of Robert Hartley, who he's chasing in the points, so that points gap is going to get a little closer. Travis Swanky was back in fifth and had nowhere to go. He was like Rudolph could not play in the reindeer games. Stephen Van Opstrel, Stefan Overgaard, Nick Thiessen, Tom Ratchey, the Bay State Hammer, and Steve Hefford round out your top 10. Johan?
Yeah, the gap between Steve Hefford and P11 David Hampson was incredibly small as well. Only 0.08 of a second between the two. But that 0.08 of a second meant that David Hampson has to settle for a position outside the top 10. Gene Fitters comes home behind him in P12 in front of Dexter Castro and Eric Garcia, the first driver of the M category, winning the race in that class. And sputtering over the line, Robert Wielinga is classified in P15 after winning 7 positions during the race. Stef Veenhoff makes it a Dutch 1-2 in P16 and Björn de Vos makes it a Benelux podium in P17. Derek Holland finishes the race in P18 in front of Kip Stevens. Joe McDonald is the last driver in the top 20 and he comes home 20th.
Hitting blackjack, it is Kyle Gilbert in the double duck spot, and the last car on the lead lap goes to Mick Berry. Jean-Franc Pagnol in the 23rd position. Anwar Burrell Smith behind him at the quarter-century mark. Marco Dirks. Renaud Lefebvre in the 26th position, and Rafael Dresix in 27th. There you have it. Let's go to our interviews now, and we see if we have anybody to talk to. I'm going to get to talk to an old-timer. We didn't get to see much of Dexter Castro this time. Dexter had himself a very quiet 13th place finish. Dexter, how did it feel out there today?
Well, this is a track that, I enjoy it, but it seems to hate me, so really, I was just out there to get this one over with.
It's an interesting track because while you're on throttle, we talked about it in the pre-race show, you're on throttle a lot. There is a significant technical section here. Yeah.
It's there's still draft, just like every track in this car, but it's definitely easier to lose the draft or break the draft than something like Spa or even Road America or Road Atlanta. But yeah, like I said, this one just doesn't agree with me, and you'll always know a track that I'm not comfortable at when I'm not picking up off tracks because I'm having to leave enough of a margin, which for most of the race was the case. I think I was at like 4 off tracks nearing the end, and then all chaos happened. But qualified about as well as I could have hoped, given my pace here. The race went pretty much anything but smooth. There were way too many people who seemed intent on losing the draft of the cars in front. So I pitted early trying to avoid that, and then joke's on me. I made a couple mistakes, lost 4 or 5 seconds, and then wound up coming out behind the people I was trying to get away from anyway.
All right, well, let's see if we can pick up a top 10 here before too long. Good luck to you the rest of the way.
Well, yeah, I did have the top 10 last week,
okay.
But yeah, what's the next track? Is it?
Well, let's go ahead and tell the fans right now. I have that at the bottom of my script. Let's see where we're going here. Next week we are going to be going Monza.
Yeah, well, that one I guess it doesn't matter how my pace will be there because that'll be 100% racecraft, which hopefully the racecraft of the people around me is a little better than it was this week.
All right. Good luck to you the rest of the way. Always great to have you in the race. Dexter Castro, 13th place finish today. Johan?
Caught up with the driver that finished 1 position in front of him, Gene Fitters. Welcome to the booth. Gene, we saw you make a very early pit stop, but then your car didn't come to a halt. What exactly happened there?
Yeah. Well, funny story, I guess. My quali lap lagged out and didn't count, so I started back in 16th, I think it was. And basically, because of that, I wasn't expecting my pit box to be halfway down the lane, and pretty much just drove straight past it.
That caught you out. Well, the thing that you were saying about your quali lap lagging out, it was also something that I saw you mention before the broadcast. You had some connection issues. It seemed like you were talking about that. Was that actually hurting you during the race? Was it actually hurting you while you were fighting out there on track?
Well, it definitely hurt me in qualifying. It was guaranteed a clean lap. I went back and checked on my telemetry software that it was no off tracks or anything like that, but must have just had some discontinuity at that time. There's been issues for a few weeks now with the Australian New Zealand servers having a higher ping than normal since the last maintenance that iRacing did, and we can't even host on our own servers at the moment, and we've got quite a bit extra ping on the US servers. So during the race, it didn't actually affect me so much. It probably more so affected the guys I was racing with. I got a few people telling me I was disappearing for multiple corners at a time, which I apologise for. But if it got too bad, I was just going to back out. But in the end, I essentially did a voluntary pass through the pit lane just to practice it in case I ever need it again, I suppose. And took myself out of the race anyway. So, but pitted twice, still +4 from where I started, and had a great fight, great battle with the guys like Nick Thiessen, Dexter, Kip. He was good to race against. So it was quite new and refreshing actually, racing against guys that I don't normally. It was good fun, despite my average result.
It's good to hear that it was at least some good battling that you had out there on track. Congratulations with gaining 4 positions out there today in the race, and we'll hope to see you again next week at Monza.
Yep, I'll be there. Thanks a lot to you guys at GSRC and all the crew there for putting on a fantastic show again, as always. And good day to my guys at Geodesic Racing, and big thanks to the sponsors there, Cube Controls, to incredible hardware, beautiful wheels for your direct drive setup, and who else we got? Munch Media and SimLab, and I think that's about it. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, Gene Fiddes. That was Gene Fiddes coming home today after starting in P16, finishing in P12.
I can sympathize with Gene. I personally am a really fast qualifier. I just choose to qualify slow. That way I always know where to find my pit box. I don't have that problem. We'd like to thank everybody here on the Quality Racing Sim-dicate for organizing this series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Thanks to Heusinkveld, affordable simulation software and hardware are thought to be of limited use for race teams and drivers, but with simulation solutions bring professional results within reach of any race team or driver without having to compromise on realism or engineering value. They offer a broad array of products and services such as advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware. They are able to simulate any combination of race car and track. Come on, tongue, don't fail me now. Including a full-fledged cockpit environment with realism that is unparalleled. Heusinkveld solutions are currently being used by professional teams and drivers in Formula Ford, GP3, Formula 2, and Formula 1. Now these products are available for any professional team or driver looking for an edge in racing. Be a better race car driver and get in touch today. We would also like to thank the good folks at SimSport News for their help in sponsoring the wrap-up show. Thanks to the company's equipment and software you see on the screen right now that we use on the broadcast. The original music you've heard on today's show is thanks to Eric Eckham and June Lalonde. See the screen to how to contact each of them. The Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour returns for round 6 in 1 week. That'll be November 10th. And that's going to be from Monza. GSRC will be there to bring you all the action. We hope you join us. Sliding across your screens right now are just some of the upcoming broadcasts, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find it at GlobalSimRacingChannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Johan, Joe, and Dougie, I'd like to thank you all for watching. With that said, we're off to have fun, storm the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.